Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to learn the second and third tools in your Stop Overdrinking Tool Box. Tool number 2 is paying close attention to the thoughts that create the desire. Notice how your brain comes up with more and more sentences trying to increase your desire to drink. Your brain is only doing this because it thinks it will die otherwise. It's been programmed to think that if dopamine is involved, it should have the dopamine no matter what, or you're going to die. If you observe it with your prefrontal cortex, you'll see the lower brain trying to obtain it. You'll notice this from a place of peace, interest, curiosity, fascination, and you won't get wrapped up in the drama of it all. When you allow those sentences to be there, it will create desire. But desire is completely harmless unless you react to it or try to fight it. Practice allowing it. Don't be alarmed, upset, annoyed, or frustrated by the thoughts that create that desire. Allow them to be there and just witness them from a place of peace. Your brain created them because it thinks you're going to die if you don't drink that alcohol. It literally thinks it's part of your survival. It's not trying to hurt you. In fact, it's the opposite. It's trying to save you. Okay, now the third tool in our Stop Overdrinking Toolbox is to plan your drinking ahead of time. Yeah, plan your drinking ahead of time. The first thing you'll do is allow an urge to be there. Don't fight it, don't react to it. Next, pay close attention to all of the thoughts causing the desire. You're going to be a witness to these thoughts. You want to become conscious of those sentences in your mind. Those sentences are powerful. There are the clogs coming down the hall. There are the bells ringing. You want to know what they are so that you can expect them. And at this point, those thoughts are still probably unconscious. Third, and again, this is a tool for your prefrontal cortex that only your prefrontal cortex can use. We're going to use its ability to make decisions ahead of time. The human brain is the only thing on this planet that can plan and decide on purpose. Some of you may say, I've tried this before. I've tried to decide ahead of time that I wasn't going to drink. But that's before you had tools number 1 and tools number 2. Now with the tools that allow your urges to simply be there, you'll be able to make your decisions ahead of time. If you're someone who wants to stop overdrinking, under no circumstances should you ever take a drink that isn't pre-planned. All decisions involving drinking have to come from the prefrontal cortex. You can't let any of the drinking come as a result of clogs or bell ringing, because that will perpetuate the unwanted desire. You can plan as much drinking as you want. I'm going to drink on Tuesday and I'm going to drink 2 bottles of wine. And that's fine as long as you plan it ahead of time. Think about why you want to drink. What will be the consequences? What will be the obstacles? Anticipate and plan in an extremely deliberate way what you're going to drink and why. For example, you might be going to a wine tasting. Plan how many glasses of wine you want to have. Don't limit yourself. If you want to taste 20 glasses of wine, fine. You just have to plan for it. Your prefrontal cortex has to be in charge. None of this responding in the moment or reacting to that unconscious desire. It's really, really important to understand the difference. We don't ever want to have our conditioning driving our actions. We always want our actions to be driven from the prefrontal cortex when it comes to anything that involves concentrated pleasure. And that includes not just drinking, but shopping, achievement, gambling, porn, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, anything. Never allow your lower brain to manage you. It's basically in a thought pattern of neurological junk because it thinks it's a survival mechanism, and it's not. Plan and make decisions ahead of time. Whenever you want to drink, you have to plan it 24 hours in advance. You need to plan what you will drink. You need to plan how much you will drink. Make that decision with a clear mind. That decision has to be rock solid. You have to commit to it 100%. Don't underestimate how much you want to drink because you don't want to get in a position where you're letting your lower brain take over. Then you're creating more drool. You're creating more conditioned responses. You have to stay in charge. If you say 3 drinks, that's it. If you say 15 drinks, that's it. You're the one managing that from your prefrontal cortex. It's always 24 hours ahead of time, and it's always decided. If it isn't planned, don't drink it. If you have an urge to drink that isn't planned from your prefrontal cortex, you do not, under any circumstance, drink. You don't resist the urge, you just allow it to be there. And some of you may say, okay, that's very challenging because once I start drinking, I lose the ability to allow for that urge. And that's often true. But you'll be surprised at the power of the prefrontal cortex, even when your brain is inebriated. You'll come to the point where you will lose control. Think about how many drinks that will take so you know you can always stay in control. That's first and foremost. Honor your decisions. Now think about this. What do you want your regular drinking life to look like? How often do you want to drink and why? Make those decisions on purpose and not from any kind of conditioned response. Don't decide from the belief that you don't have control, but from the belief that you do have control. It's really, really important. In the next lesson, we'll discuss how to have conversations when you don't want to drink.